right. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Letter, BTL for short. Thanks for joining us today. This is going to be our New Year's Eve episode. So,
What?
Nice.
This one's dropping on December 31st. So we going into New Year.
Hey.
Wow.
This is fun.
Tomorrow, well,
Great.
you know, people watch this at various times. Some people listen to it in a month delay or whatever. Sometimes I'll get people be like, they'll DM me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I was just listening to this episode. I'm cracking up. And I look and I'm like, the episode from like 3 months ago. But some people, they just try to crank it out through when they have like open space. So, which is cool. So, you know, some people may be listening to this in March, you know, by the time they get to it.
2024.
Happy New Year.
24.
Yeah, what's
Happy-
good?
For those that watch it within the first 24 hours, Happy New Year. And in that case, because I would say majority of the audience listens to everything within the first week, and some people within the first maybe 2 weeks. Otherwise, if it's a viral topic, it'll just still chart afterwards and stuff like that. Like when we've talked about like relationship stuff or demons and angels and all that stuff just continually like kind of charts. But that being said, we don't have a sponsor for Beyond the Letter yet, but we somewhat have a sponsor for this one as more of a shout out because Abundant Living has their first devotional plan in the YouVersion Bible app.
Let's go.
Hey, let's
So-
go.
That's wild.
Big wins.
I know.
Yeah.
Our church, that's huge.
Big
Amazing.
wins.
Yeah.
We have been a partner of YouVersion since 2020 really.
Yep.
And then we went through COVID. So
Yep.
we never put anything on. And then we're like, here we go, going into 2024. So I want everyone to do me a favor because almost everyone in America has this. Pull out your Bible app. Okay, so everyone go to YouVersion.
Yeah.
Open up Bible. If anybody doesn't have it, we got to talk.
Yeah.
But pull out your YouVersion Bible app, and then in the plans, go to search, type in Abundant Living Family Church, and then scroll down to plans, and you are going to see our 21-day favor fast. Look,
That's
Aaron's got
crazy.
it.
Let's
Here's
go.
what's great.
Start playing.
Nancy knows how to do it. How does someone invite their own community into a plan? Can you got the mic, Nancy? Can you tell us? So basically what you can do is don't do it alone. You may have a group chat with some family or friends. We'll try to share some, because they basically max you out 150 in terms of doing a group plan. So make sure you follow it, share it. But here's what we encourage you to do as you're watching it. Think of some friends that you could do this with. And then Nancy will tell us how you could share your specific plan to ask someone to read with you. How do we do it?
Yeah, so when you go to the plan, the first thing that it's going to ask you if it's going to be private or with friends. So you want to make sure you select that you want to do it with friends. Once you select that, then it'll give you an option to share it with others. So you'll be able to have your own link that you can share out. Just know, if you have a lot of friends, this is capped at 150. So
Right.
making sure that you can just share that link. And then I can also explain on our stories in the podcast.
So yeah, go to Instagram
and
and
I'll
be
show you
like,
how to do it.
yeah, go to our Instagram. Nancy will have it, and then also go to Instagram and like invite people. Because if you could, does everyone have access to like adding a link, like a web link? Because in the past you had to have like a certain amount of followers, but do they allow everyone to add a link now on Instagram?
Oh, on
Yeah.
Instagram?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Be
So
able to.
create that friend link. I encourage you, just go to Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Be like, hey, I would love for anyone to join me for the next 21 days. What we always do at our church is we do a 21-day fast. So fast something, fast foods, sugars, candy, fast food, fast, fast
Super
from
cool.
social media, whatever you want to do. Just whatever you rely on really heavily. Fast from soda, whatever you want. Take some things that are really a discipline, fast from it, and then spend the next 21 days every day doing the devotional with us. It's really cool. I'll let you go through day one, Aaron. It's pretty cool. Aaron already has, but watch. I'll go to the plan. So this one is brought to you by Abundant Living Family Church. Is this episode brought to you?
Too.
Yeah, bro. We even got a daily video for
Daily
you. Look
video.
how
That's
impressive
cool.
that is. Shout out to Nancy who put this whole thing together in like a week and a half.
Look at that pastor.
It was,
Look at
and it was literally favor, you guys, because we did not know anybody from YouVersion. We
Yeah.
had no connections whatsoever.
It is.
And it was
See that?
our leader, Pastor Adam, was like, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. And I was like, all right. And so literally just calling, emailing, working with Kristen and Alex, who's on the media team. And by the grace of God and by his favor, somebody said, hey, here's my cell phone number. So shout out to Deidre, who works on the U version, and Maddie.
Yeah.
And they were like, text me. We're going to get this up. And I was like, bro, you don't even know me.
You don't even know me.
So the process to get a Bible plan, well, number one, you have to be invited by YouVersion to be an actual content partner. So that we were invited in 2020. But the person who invited us is no longer there. So you get all their contact info. Well, it'd been years since we used it. When she transitioned off, she never transitioned to us to a new client person. So when we decided to do it, it was like there were, and then they said, because it's the holiday season, they were like, if you put in a plan, it takes like a month to a month and a half to get approved. Wow. And we came up with this like 2 weeks ago. We were like, we should totally do this for the fast. This would be amazing. And then so I went and cranked out all the devotional stuff. Nancy cranked out all the videos with everyone, and we made all the prayer topics. And so we just were like jamming through it. And then we're like, we get to the page on YouVersion where it's like, please submit this by December 1st for it to be approved by end of January. And we're like, we're not going to have this done till like December 15th. And then like that would put us into February. So then just Nancy started just banging on doors, and then got that Deirdre to give her
great.
number. And they're like, we're
great.
pushing it through for you guys right now. And they literally in 24 hours.
And she literally told me we have millions of plans right now.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's crazy.
for
And
you
I
to
believe that.
choose
Millions?
hours, I'm telling you,
Yep.
it's favor. So it's literally right on the spot on with what we're doing.
This is so
Favor
cool.
It's going to be
ain't
so
fair.
amazing. I can't wait.
Yes.
Favor ain't fair, right?
And that's our
It
thing
ain't
for the
fair,
year
bro.
for ALFC. Favor.
Favor.
That's why it's called the Fast of Favor, because we want everyone
I
to.
love this.
So the theme is like every day there's a prayer topic, and there's certain things we're praying for, right? So day one's about humility. Day two is about obedience. Day three is about forgiveness. And basically what we're saying is like, as we focus on each of those things each day, that is a path towards favor with the
Yeah.
Lord, is to, if you focus on obedience, you focus on humility, focus on gratitude, like these are all ways that the Lord can work on your heart, which allows us to see favor from God in our life. So it's a dope 21-day fast. So share it with some people, do it with some people, and you'll have fun with it.
The fun
So-
thing too is that you can talk it over. So once
Yeah.
you don't see it right away, but if you share it with a friend, you do it with a friend, you can comment on there. So you can see everybody, Chelsea say we do it together. I can see, oh, Chelsea, this is what she's saying about obedience, or this is what they're struggling about. So it's like you're not alone when you're doing this. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
What a great
yeah,
way to start your year.
It's
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
What a great way to start too, if you have some friends and community, because like Nancy said, when you add the comment, depending on when they do it in the day, you can see their reflection on how they're processing humility or obedience or whatever it is. So super dope. I'm glad it worked out where we could have it, and it just will always live up. So like you could, in the summer, you could be going through some stuff, like, because it's not just about the new year. So you could be going through something in the summer, and you could be like, man, I'm gonna do that 21-day fast again, and revisit those. And we have a video for every fast from some pastors on our team that are just walking you through with their own talk it over, because maybe you don't have community and you're doing it alone. We still wanted to throw those videos in that brought that kind of human touch of our team and stuff. So
Big
yeah,
wins.
get
That's
it.
a win.
YouVersion
Big wins.
Bible app.
I'll link it.
Type in Abundant Living Family Church. It's on the money.
Yeah.
So today's episode is brought to you by Abundant Living Family Church, located in Rancho Cucamonga. Dope.
And Pomona, California.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My bad. Dang.
Just say the IE. Wait, is Pomona in
No,
IE?
they're Los Angeles County,
LA.
bro.
LA County.
Yeah.
So IE, LA.
Yeah,
okay.
that's why
Yeah.
I show my braids a little bit.
Stop.
on the sides.
Do not do that.
SoCal. We will say SoCal.
Yeah.
Hey, my hang time. Don't disrespect the
It's
hang
hanging.
time
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
the
it's
hang
there.
time is okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Dang, bro. That's why you're wearing that happy hat.
Between your
mantra.
sweter and his braids, I can't.
We grew up, that's how you know we from the
African-American.
IE.
Coming
I
out.
mean, that's
Yeah.
a street recognized street. I mean, just what do you want me? I mean,
With your happy hat on.
That's African American in
If
both
I
of
see Aaron
us.
down the street, I won't be scared. If I see Pastor Aaron down the street, I definitely. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm walking the
think
other way.
twice. I'm gonna rethink running into that dude.
Pastor Adam will fight you. I'll pray for you
Pray for
after.
you. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, here's what we got. It's like a New Year episode. So
Okay.
we talked about the fast. Encourage everybody to do something, spend some time with the Lord. Here's what I thought. I recently saw this video. then I want us to get into like just some New Year stuff.
Okay.
We can talk about that. But I saw this interesting video. What I'm seeing going around a lot on social media, and this is new, like, is how like everybody, especially in relationships, but not just relationships, in everything, how they like everybody reads into everything, and everything is like a subconscious everything, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna explain what I mean. Like, so there's this like thing going around, and I'm gonna have a video that explains it because I didn't know what was going on. So sometimes you'll like see on TikTok, and it'll be like me finding out that I have a spatula in my fridge, and then everybody in the comments is like, "Oh, girl, when I found out, I threw it away," and you're like, what am I missing? So like I saw a video of someone saying, me realizing that my ex-husband gifted me shoes every year for Christmas. And then I look in the comments and everybody's like, "Oh, girl, you know, glad you ran, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, wait, Pastor Heron is a sneakerhead. So I'm like, if you're ever going to get a gift from Heron, like, it's probably going to be shoes, you know? And if you ever want to get him a gift, get him shoes.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like,
is it wrong to?
I'm like, wait, why can't you give people shoes? So now I go into the comments, and then they have the top little blue search thing in TikTok. So now it says like, why you can't gift someone shoes. So then I run into this video.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, no.
And apparently, if you gift someone shoes, the gifter, the person who's giving the shoes, is saying that one day I'm going to run out of your life.
Bruh.
What?
Who came up with that?
Again, like,
Dude, I got a lot of people running out of my life.
have they ever given you shoes? Oh yeah, then they have given.
crazy.
Wait,
So
what?
That makes sense.
No.
Yeah. Look. But there's like a lot of this stuff going around. A lot, like different stuff. Like, oh, when he does this to you in dating, and then it's like apparently like
Everything's connected to some motive that
Exactly.
we figured out.
either through the stars with astrology or through psychology or whatever. There's like,
Wow.
and everyone thinks going to church is weird, like,
Right?
but there's like literally millions of people who are like fully on belief with these things. But this woman's video and the original video was viewed by millions and tens of thousands of comments like, yeah, I should have saw the signs. Yeah, I should, And so, yeah, my father got me shoes one, like, and it's like not one time. It's like that's a regular gift someone gives you apparently or whatever. But it's like, yeah, my father, and then he left my life, as I got older. So like, look at the video. This is a girl. This is the video I saw of the explanation, and my jaw dropped that this is like real stuff out in the world that people are taking serious.
I have been seeing the shoe theory all over TikTok, so let's talk about it. I have been hearing about the shoe theory from my mom since I was young, and it essentially says that if you gift someone a pair of shoes, they will eventually walk out on you. In other words, you don't really want to gift your significant others or your loved ones a pair of shoes, because that means that you're destined for a breakup or that your relationship might eventually fizzle out. And the origin of this theory is basically that in Chinese, the word for shoes sounds the same as the word for bad luck. So hopefully you didn't get someone a pair of shoes this holiday season, but if you don't like someone and want them out of your life,
Well, I gotta return my shoes to Puma.
Ever since I met you, dude, you'd always give cash shoes and stuff.
I just
bought her some shoes.
got my wife some shoes. Am I gonna?
Yeah, I just said it.
I bought my wife shoes for
Yeah, I
Christmas.
bought my wife some shoes.
Where?
Dang, I got my mom's shoes for Christmas. I got
Yeah, I got so many people's shoes for
I should have
Christmas.
bought my wife a chair for Christmas.
Say yeah.
Girl, I'm staying.
Yeah, but I ain't going nowhere. Just start giving people chairs.
Well, shoes can also signify 10 toes down, like
Yeah.
grounded. Like
Look at the poet.
Yeah.
See, that's the Jesus Club. You got to be on the fly with sermons.
Baby girl, I got 10 toes on the
You should have a poem. 10 toes down. That's crazy.
But she's saying her mom, who I'm assuming is Chinese, because she correlates it. But not everyone was correlating it to like Chinese mythology. Mm-hmm. But she's saying her mom taught her this as a child.
Dude, that's not a thing.
It's really not.
But
Her mama
when I was watching the video, I went to Google and searched it, and it's on the news. Like, if diamonds are a girl's best friend, a pair of shoes may be their enemy. With Christmas just around the corner, young women have recently been horrified to learn of the viral shoe theory, an old wives' tale which suggests that gifting a significant other a pair of shoes mean they'll walk out of your life. This is on the news.
Yeah.
I feel like this plays into like superstitions, like everything, you know,
Yeah.
13th floor, all these superstitions. You can't do this on Friday the 13th.
Cheers and look at people's
and all this
eyes,
stuff.
the whole
Yeah.
thing.
But you can't do a
Yeah.
cheers and look at somebody's eyes?
Wait, I never
They're
knew that
saying
one.
Cheers?
you
You
have
have
to.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah.
Oh, so if I'm saying cheers but I look away, then,
Yeah, you're
then
good.
I've cursed you?
No, there's, Google it.
Because like me, I know what you're saying. I just don't. I don't know it well enough to explain it. You know.
I
Google
don't
it.
know
Oh, yeah.
either.
Google
Yeah.
it, what that means.
But yeah, it's like all these superstitions.
All right. Let's
This
see.
is
I'm gonna
wild.
look up.
Oh, Google some superstitions.
I'm gonna add Chat
Yeah.
GPT. Chat GPT's
Do you
faster
guys
than
think
Google.
at a
Know what it
certain
means.
extent, like some of these are real? Do you think that, or it's like,
Yeah.
oh, people are just believing it, so they're seeing it everywhere, type of thing? Because I feel like you can
Yeah.
apply certain things and
Well,
find
yeah.
it if you're looking for it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Self-fulfilled prophecies is like is for sure. Here,
Did you get to it?
here's the one.
Pastor Aaron?
well, here's top. I asked ChatGPT top 20 famous superstitions. Walking under a ladder, which we all know, but apparently I don't know. I didn't know all the reasons to it though. A bad luck because it resembles a triangle, a symbol of the Holy Trinity, and so you're breaking the Trinity if you walk under a ladder.
What?
It's interesting where how these came from. Breaking a mirror, 7 years of bad luck. Black cats, if you cross a black cat, unlucky. Opening umbrella indoors. Friday the 13th, we know. Knocking on wood to avoid, you're supposed to knock on wood to avoid jinxing yourself. 4-leaf clovers are good luck. Horseshoes.
But I heard knocking on wood was a form of like witchcraft because how they would call on like demons in the woods, they would knock on trees and call them. So they say don't knock on wood.
What?
We're not going to have any sermon illustrations left.
Throw salt over your shoulder, wish upon a star, sing the number 6, carrying a rabbit's foot, crossing your fingers, toss it. Yeah, I mean, these are all we would famously know. Step on a crack, break your mother's
Mother's
back.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think, like, to Nancy's point, like, there are some things that, like, you know, our psychology is real, and there's a level of, there are things that we do that may either be, you know, driven from trauma or good things or whatever, that we have a subconscious, like, so that I don't disagree with. Originally, I thought, oh, maybe they're somehow tying a statement to subconscious, but then the more I looked into it, it was like, oh, no, it's literally a wives' tale, because the word sounds like bad luck in Chinese, so therefore it's bad. But there are legitimate, like, here's the problem I have with it, is there are kids who watch the app
Yes.
who go,
Yes.
therefore, if anyone gets me shoes, I'm going to start looking
Right.
for ways that they plan to step out of my life. When,
I just bought Trinity some shoes. This is why she can't have a phone. Ever.
Or it's like, yeah.
she'd be looking at you like, Dad,
She already
you
talked
have
to
to
Faith
return-
about running away. Like,
What?
You got to tell the story.
okay,
Oh,
so
yeah,
so
let's hear this.
so this was probably 4 years ago. Trinity's 6. Faith is 8. I tell them to do something, they don't do it, dishes or whatever the case may be, and then like, so I'm harsh with them. Hey, I told you to do blah 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 blah. So then I'm in the room, but I can hear them, and Trinity's like, Faith, we need to run away because Dad doesn't love us. And Faith is like, Dad does love us. You just don't listen to him. And I was like, yes,
Go Faith.
Yeah, but Trinity, Trinity's very independent. She challenges the process.
She always has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say, but her mind is not fully developed.
Yeah.
So let's say she's hurt by her father. As her mind is developing, then she sees the shoe theory. And then she thinks about Chris. Oh, I can't wear these shoes. Oh, this is a sign because, see, I'm not doing the dishes because her mind's not fully developed.
Yeah.
So my thought about like this video is all the people that are commenting about this, there's no consequence for their comments. So I can just jump on the bandwagon. I can say, yeah, this is true. This is that. This is this and that, because I don't have relational connection to the person giving the video or the people I'm in dialogue with. but that's not how the real world works.
Yep.
Like I gave an example of real world situations. I'm a dad. So I have to talk through scenarios, and I have to know the differences of my kids and how what they see and what they talk about, how it affects them. In social media, that doesn't really take effect, but it takes effect here in how I process things in the real world. So that's the danger in it.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, how do you protect the next generation from the misconceptions that social media will constantly feed you? Because there's benefit to social media, you learn a ton from it, but how do you protect the next generation from? We're the generation that has the most information, but are the most misinformed on a lot of things, and so I'm just thinking through, how do you protect the next generation from that?
My goal is to be the first one to the party as it relates to the information. So I don't know if that would be a necessary thing for me to bring to my girls. Hey, let's watch this shoe theory. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah.
And just talk about it, but not as a thing, but while we're playing Monopoly or while we're just chilling on the way home or whatever the case may be. Because once someone else gives the information first, it may have more influence if I try to course correct it. So a topic like sex or gender or these serious topics that can form ideas in our kids' minds, I want to be first to the table with those type of subjects.
Yeah, that's good.
And as I am a safe place for my kids' failure and curiosity, they would welcome questions to me about certain things they struggle with. If I'm just focused on we got to be appropriate, we got to be a certain way, or if they think differently than me and then I push that away, then they'll go to their friends at lunch about like, hey, is this acceptable? Is that acceptable? Because I can't really go to my parents about it. Every time I go to my parents about it, I'm pushed away. So I think showing our children the value of having conversations and welcoming their perspectives, even when they're wrong, even when they're emotional, and staying long enough to help use that influence to change their perspective.
That's good. That's really good.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like, are you teaching your child what to think or how to think?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And I think most times parents are trying to just teach them what to think, what maybe is right or wrong, and this is what we do and we don't do, especially Christian parents. Christian parents get very to a point, especially if they're like newly saved or been saved within, as a first generation, they're going to immediately just be like, okay, strip this, remove this, is what we think, this is what we believe, which are all good things. Like they all have good intentions. But if they're not growing up, especially like 11, 12, 13, 14, as they're getting teenagers, very much exposed to the school system, like if they're not told this is why we come to this conclusion, this is how, this is what we do, then everything that comes to them, every time they're either going to go like, I have to either find out from my parents what to think about this. But if they bring it up to you, if it comes with, go to your room, give me your phone, blah, 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 like all the discipline, then they're going to go, okay, I already know what my parents think. If there's ever a question I have outside of the scope of what they believe, if it comes with discipline, then what I'll just start doing is not bring it to them.
Sure.
And I'll just hold on to all the secrets and I'll hold on to it at school. Like my son's in kindergarten and he learns his second month how to give the middle finger.
Yeah.
And this is at a Christian school.
Yeah.
So even being at a Christian school doesn't mean that every kid there is being taught everything the same, or some of them are exposed. They get to watch certain YouTube videos and all this stuff like that. And so, he gets to do it, and then he learns as he gets in troubles with it. He thinks it's like a sign of disappointment. So then, like, he gets in trouble by one of the teachers, and he gives her the middle finger because he thinks
he did it. No, he did it.
Yeah. I should laugh about it, but because he thinks it was a sign of disappointment. He doesn't think it is what
it
we
means.
think it is, right? So then immediately it's like you're disciplined because you did it, and blah 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 blah. But he's trying to. What I was like, first, let me understand what he thinks about this, like how, because we know it to be one thing. But he didn't learn it from us. He learned it from a kid in the playground. He understands it as a sign of like the way we would pout or like stomp our feet. That's what he's thinking it is. And so as I'm talking, I'm like, that's what I discover he's aware that it is. He's like, well, it's when you disagree, like he doesn't know how to say disagree, but he's basically like when someone says something that isn't right, that's how you tell them that wasn't right in an angry way. I'm like, well, no, son, it's a lot deeper. Giving someone the middle finger is a lot deeper than that. But I understand why you would come to that conclusion.
For sure.
So, like, here's the discipline surrounded around it, but here's how we, course correct this.
Yeah.
But that's the tough part with social media in the world today is.
Yeah, that's just an example
There's
of what
access to
so
everything.
many people are misinformed on something, and and their behavior follows their misinformation, and that's what we're seeing.
So we have a tradition. We don't do it no more. Our kids are older, but when they were younger and they loved toys, we would take them to Toys R Us, and that shut down. Then we started taking them to Target. You can go through these rows, get whatever you want. We got 10 minutes, go. And then they would just be like, oh, we get this, put it in the bag. Oh, yeah. Now, during that process, Trinity looks to Faith and says, look, this doll, it could be a boy or a girl. That's cool, right? And then I'm like, oh, what is that? But my response will be everything in that moment.
Yeah.
Right? So they put it in the bag, whatever, and I'm just thinking like, wow, how am I gonna? So as I'm going through the toys and so forth, I'm like, man, this is tight. This is whack. This is whack. Just looking at all the toys. I said, what do you think about this? What do you And they start putting it back, and it just so happens that is the one that they put back. But I didn't address it then. It's birthday, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm like, what do I do? Because their thought process, this is just efficiency. Because I could play with him as a boy, I could play with him as a girl. So then I got all of their Barbies and boy Barbies, Kens, whatever, and I put them on the kitchen table. And I said, hey, let's make families. So they put a boy and a girl, and they put a boy and a girl, and then a little girl, and then that. And I said, let me make some other families. And I put 2 boys together. Then I put 2 girls together. I said, is this a family? And they said, no. I said, why? Oh, because girls shouldn't marry girls, boys shouldn't marry boys. But why? You know what? So I said, hey, we live in a world where some families will look like that. But it is contrary to the values in the Bible. We'll go to Disneyland and you may see guys holding hands. You may see women holding hands. We will love them. We don't treat anybody different based upon values. But in our minds, while we say that it's not what we do, is because of the Bible that we hold to. So that was just me trying to be at their level, because there are some traditions where it's like, put that back in the thing. We don't do that. And there's no conversation. Yeah. And then there's a fear
or
I've
there's
done something wrong.
Or there's a ill that's gross.
Yeah.
And then your child learns it, and then they're
harsh
while a child, like, because here's the reality. In the world that we live in today, if specifically if you're a child, which is going to be the majority of people, if they're going to go into Caesar school, they're going to go into public school, the likelihood that by time they're 7 or 8 that they come in contact with gender dysphoria, gender confusion, gender adaptation, the reality is they're going to see that today at a very young age.
Yes.
And how we as Christian parent, because ultimately, especially as a child gets older, most of them are, most people statistically, according to the book of psychology and the psychology of homosexuality, like, and that's a secular book, is a lot of people defining in these moments are coming from a lot of potential trauma or confusion themselves in the family structure and all these things like that. And so ultimately, I would want my son to love everyone, especially the outcast, especially the ostracized, the one that's misunderstood, whether we believe it to be a value of ours or not. And so even in the way that dad reacts to a community that's different than his. I mean, that's where strong racism comes from. Like that's where my dad always said he learned it. He grows up in a Mexican neighborhood. My great grandfather used the N-word every day, and there's a huge historic kind of beef between African Americans and Hispanics in certain parts of LA, which is where my dad grew up. So every day my dad hears his grandfather, who's Mexican and Spanish, using the N-word, talking about how black people are this and that. And so then my dad sees his first black person, and he screams, "Get out of our neighborhood." If we start to see like more racism kind of deflate and it's less and less, and some of that stuff may be in certain communities still, but by and large of what it was 60 years ago is much different. Well, the new version that you could potentially see that is people that are in the LGBT community, maybe, and though they're not, it's not something that you're born into the color of your skin. It's still a community that's welcome. Like right now at a young age, public schools and everyone was like, hey, embrace this. This is awesome. This is great. This is what makes you unique. So for a kid who's trying to assimilate, which kids desperately want to do, especially teenagers, well, they say, well, if I assimilate into being non-binary or pronouns like this and that, they're going to do that. And then if I'm reacting in a Target going, oh, that's disgusting, and then my son comes at 12 and meets someone like that, and he's like, ew, you're disgusting. Like, well, where'd you learn that from? Like, I learned that from my dad. When he saw me pull a toy that was a girl's toy or a transgender toy, my dad reacted and was like, that's disgusting. We don't do that here. We don't accept that here, in a way that was unloving and unkind. Then my son goes, oh, well, when I see that in the real world, that's the same reaction I get.
For sure.
Which that's not the Christian reaction. That's not what we do. That's definitely not what we're defined as, you know? And so I think that's dope that how you thought to position to approach it with your girls, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's hard. Parenting is hard. Being a youth pastor is hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you got plenty of stories just from being in all the public high schools of trying to bring the gospel and trying to respond to the things that, because the demographic that you guys minister to live there, live with all that. So
they haven't known a life without it, which is the interesting thing, because my generation has known a life without, for a minute, without social media. But now you have a generation who they've grown up into being assimilated into environments like this. And so how do you, it's difficult. I was just told Pastor Heron yesterday, we were meeting, I said, I don't know how you've done this for so long, because it is difficult to minister and speak into the lives of students that are dealing with stuff like this every single day.
Yeah.
How long you been doing youth ministry now, H?
Next year will be 10 years here at the church, but I think maybe 8 or 7. I don't know when I transitioned to youth.
It was 2020 end of 2016, I think, is when you did it. So
can we pause for a moment?
Yeah.
I want to honor Pastor Heron because I was in the meeting with Pastor Diego when it was announced that you were going to be the youth pastor. I was serving in youth, and Pastor Diego said, I asked Pastor Heron, I need you to be the youth pastor for the next 10 years. I remember that meeting. I
remember too.
It was a different room then. Like, so thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for staying that long. That's not easy. Yeah. But then
and
that's
most youth pastors don't make it past a
2
kid's
years.
freshman or senior year. They're out by their junior year to the next thing. You know,
some of your some of the people you've pastored has 401ks now.
They have kids now. Yeah,
for real.
That's crazy.
Naja, she has 2 kids. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a youth pastor in 2012 to 2015, 14. And so, I have kids who will come up and be like, Pastor, can you, I'm dedicating my child, and, I was a youth
crazy.
kid, or I meet them and they're like, I'm an engineer now and I live in a, and they'll name a really nice neighborhood or something. I'll be like, man, dang, good for you. And I'll be like, how do we know each other? They're like, you're my youth pastor. They're like, oh, you don't, 10 years, you don't remember all your youth students, So those that served, you almost remember. Eileen, and we talked about before, Aaron's oldest daughter, and the Chelseas, like those I remember. They served, and they're and then there's the other ones that just kind of came in and came out. I remember one day I was speaking somewhere in Northern California, and a girl drove over an hour to come in here because apparently she saw on my Instagram that I was going to be near. And she came up to me and she said, hey, I just wanted to come and see you in person. When I was 13 years old, I went to one of the youth camps. My parents were going through a divorce. I went to one of the youth camps. I gave my life to Christ. One of my parents moved to Northern California. That's the parent I went with. Changed my life, that youth camp. And I've been following the Lord ever since. And this was like probably a year ago. So it was 10 years later, right? So she's 23 now.
It's the best.
And she's like, I'm about to get engaged. This is my fiance. I meet her fiance. I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? She's like, I always tell him about that moment and blah, blah. And but then it also made me realize, like, I don't think I've ever, other than those that like I've been in proximity with, that maybe I were in leadership, but not in the case of her, that kind of blew in and blow out, which is probably 80% of youth, right?
Yeah.
80 to 90% of youth kids that come into your church, they blow in, blow out. Like they're there in the season, and then their parents don't really invest in them to go into join serve or leadership or whatever, and then in college they kind of figure out their thing. So I thought for a second, I think it has taken, so this was last year, so it would have been, I started in 2012. It took 10 years to get a thank you from a student
Yeah.
that like I just wasn't super close with and didn't know. Like that was the length of time it took to feel the reward of being a youth pastor.
For sure.
Like as a lead pastor, I actually get it all the time. I was just talking to a guy last night that was like, man, my marriage was in crumbles. Thank you. I just want to meet you and tell you how much you mean to me. That's an adult, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so he did that, right? So you get as a lead pastor, senior pastor, and a campus pastor, like you get that satisfaction pretty often because they're adults. And so they come and man, this really meant a lot. But youth, they actually don't realize how pivotal that moment was for them until they're like
older.
24, 25,
Yeah.
26 for what they went through at 13, 14, 15. Like
yeah.
that day they came in and their parents were going through a separation and Heron came and gave them a high five and was like, bro, let me get you a soda. Like they'll be like 22 just laying in bed and thinking about when they were 14, be like, man, that was really dope of Pastor
Yes.
Heron.
Yep. Yeah.
But now they live in Montana and they don't, you know,
Yeah.
they have no way to tell you, you know, like
Yeah.
youth ministry is it's one of the most delayed, gratified ministries
Yeah, for sure.
that you could do, you know?
And I think it's a ministry where you have to, what I'm learning is be okay with your season being like seed planting. You plant the seed. You might not even be the one that waters it or sees the fruit that grows from it, but being okay with that's a seed. And
Yeah.
whether I see the fruit in 10 years, I know I've planted something that somebody in 10 years might come and water. Somebody 10 years later might come and then see it. But we've done our part by planting seeds.
good.
And
Yeah.
being okay with that and knowing that the work has been done on our part in planting seeds.
I think one of the things that kept me in it for so long is I created a encouragement album. You know, like when kids said, "Hey, thanks for coming to my basketball game," or "Hey, thanks for praying for me," and I just look at that. You know, like, hey, I impacted him in that moment, and it's driving me now to keep going. You know?
An encouragement album.
Yeah, a pastor that used to mentor me a while back. He said I was on a Zoom call with him because he lived in South Carolina, and so he pulled up like a whole box right in front of him, and he's like, Chelsea, this is how you remember your why. And I was like, what is that? He's like, it's letters over the past 25 years that I've gotten being in ministry. And it reminds me of my why. It's because of the people. Not saying that I've impacted their lives, but this is why I'm doing ministry. So on my desk right now, every Sunday I have little kids, Phil's kids, always come bring me letters that they've drawn, colored. A whole bunch of kids come to me, just give me letters and gifts. They're on my desk currently because I have to remind myself in hard times and hard days in ministry that I do it for these people who are impacted by it.
Yeah.
Might not see it today, but there is impact. So yeah, but the encouragement album is a much sexier word for it. Yeah, I like that better.
What do you think is required or helps a youth pastor or youth leader have that longevity? Like to continue to, how you said you've been loyal for 10 years, so that's encouragement. So what about you personally? You feel like
just having brothers around you, like Pastor Adam, you know, one of my best friends, just, you know, staying in touch, staying in contact with him, and having a community around you to keep you grounded and keep you, you know, focused, but also remembering, you know, why you do it, you know. That encouragement file helps me, and then my intentional time with God, you know, making sure that that's really intact, because if this is not good, then this won't be good, right? So,
One of the things I've always loved about Pastor Heron, he's like a scripture memorization guru.
Yeah.
So we when I first got hired, we would be sitting on the front row, and he was playing this game on his phone, and he would show me, "Oh, this is how you memorize scripture really fast." You remember that?
Yeah.
And it had the blanks in the words, stuff like that. And I would,
scripture typer.
yeah.
That's what
So
it's
then
called.
I would see him do exhortations on stage, and he would just quote Bible. He would just quote Bible. So then that's what I've seen in his life too. Like he has the Word of God in him. So when you already have the Word of God in you, and those hard times come, that's what's going to be squeezed out of you.
Yeah.
So.
that's good.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is like what I've seen like with Heron is like he just always like some people are just built for like faithfulness. You know, like that's just their that's their wire. Like they're just like, man, I'm faithful in whatever I do. And Heron's, I remember, I don't think, well, I've never said on this podcast, which would be good to say on this podcast. There's a time Heron pulled me and Nathan aside, and I was the campus pastor of Rancho. Nathan was the executive pastor, as he still is. And Heron goes, yo, so this, you'll remember what's I say. He's like, and so he's talking like really, well, Heron always talks serious. So, so he's talking like he always does, right? So you have to read in between what's what, right? Because his serious talk is also his like joke talk, and it's also his funny talk. Like so,
and his spoken word talk.
Yeah, it's all the same. So he's like, so this church reached out to me from Florida, and they offered me a youth pastor job. He was our youth pastor. He'd been our youth pastor probably like 4 or 5 years at the time now. So he's like, yeah, they offered me this youth pastor job, and we're like, oh yeah, okay. And he's like, and they offered me this much money, and he said the word, how much money they offered him, and I'm like, I just sit and pause there, and I'm thinking like, as a friend, I'd have to tell you like, bro, you got to take that. It was literally like probably 35 to 40% more than he was making here in California. And they just it was another big church, but what a lot of people don't know, unfortunately, in the church world, there's a lot of unfortunate headhunters that will, and your two hardest positions to fill in a church is a worship pastor and a youth pastor. So there are many churches that will pay an overly adjusted amount to get a worship leader or a youth pastor. And so that, in this case, that was a church. Like it, and so he's like, he says it, and I'm just like, I'm just now preparing myself because I'm like, that's it. H is going to be like, so I took it, and like, what, you'd be stupid not to. You're moving to Florida, which like no income tax. You're making 30% more than you make here. Like, dude, you're set. Like you're going to live in a mansion over there, you know, like you're set. So I'm sitting there, and so me and Nathan, we literally can't tell what Heron is doing at the moment.
Can't read him.
So we don't know what else to say, and I just look at him, and I'm like, oh, bro, so like, you're gonna take it? And then he was like, he like went like this, like, why would I take it? And I'm like, what is going on right now? So I literally go, I literally go, H, why are you telling us? And he goes, but I just want to say, wasn't that crazy? and we just like,
a really serious moment for you was just like a.
He literally was just letting us know how crazy that was that he got offered a job with no interview at making that much money. He's like, that's just crazy that they were willing to pay that much. I just thought you guys would get a kick out of it. And I was like,
that's hilarious.
Bro, I was preparing my heart to lose my best friend. Like, and I'm happy for you. Go do whatever you got to do. Like, that's great money.
Yeah.
But he.
and I think that's to get a testament to people that stay faithful to a church. I think a lot of people in ministry, they church hop. You know, they date the church. So they go to this church, they see that the
non-ministry people with 10 churches do the same thing.
And so a lot of these youth pastors do the same thing. You know, they I see a better calling, a better youth ministry. You know, maybe
more
better
students,
pay,
better pay.
So, so I think commitment and loyalty is lost too. You know, in ministry. So you just got to commit to a church and stay faithful, like Paul. You know, Paul was faithful to a church and he remained diligent, and I think we need to do that more often. You know, especially in youth ministry. You know,
and then like when you do that, and if it's the right thing and the Lord says it, cool. But like for a lot of people who are more so making an emotional judgment, it's just like then they go, and I hear this all the time, not just from youth pastors but others, is like even friends that like maybe are a campus pastor somewhere and they go campus pastor somewhere else, or they want to plant a church or whatever. They just be like, man, I have no community. It's so hard. Pray for me, blah, blah, blah. There's all these things that like, it's just like, well, that was the cost you didn't weigh when you decided to leave. People leave our church all the time, other churches all the time. People will come our church and they'll be like, sometimes people will come to our church and be like, oh, we were at this church for 8 years. And I don't go into why they left. And they're like, we've been here for like 6 months and we had really great relationships there and we just haven't found them here yet. And I'm like, well, you were there for 8 years. For sure. Of course you had great relationships over there. And I don't know why you left. Maybe you should have left. Maybe you shouldn't have left. Like, maybe it's like the youth pastor thing. Maybe you're at a church and all of a sudden you're 6 years in and then you go, oh, that one thing the pastor said, I don't like. So let's go check out another church. And then you go there and then you're there for 4 years and like, okay, this thing the pastor likes, is doing, well, this was cool, but I actually don't like their worship. So let's go find a church where we like their worship. And then you turn around and you like wonder, you're like, how come I don't have meaningful relationships? How come now all of a sudden I'm 40, I'm 50, and you're like, because I look at like people in the church who've been faithful that I look at that only in their whole lifetime have maybe 2 or 3 churches in their whole lifetime. And they're just rich with relationships. Like I think of my mother-in-law. Like my mother-in-law's been at Abundant now for like 19 years. The church she was at before that was for about maybe 20 years. And so it's like my mother-in-law has a Rolodex of relationships, both in that church and from that previous church that have relationships. And it comes from like just being faithful, you know, not making a mountain out of a molehill. Now, if there is a mountain, okay, cool. You need to pray about that, see what the Lord says. But of that sense, like, man, I just want to have longevity in something.
For sure.
Because not only finance is a part of that, or, you know, certain teaching styles are part of that, but also like you have relationships with that too. You know, like me and Heron are so close because we have now 13 years of relationship from college going together and then to now being in ministry together for 10 years. So
I don't think people think about that when they say, well, I'm not getting fed. Relationships are a feeding system.
Yeah.
It's not just what happens on the pulpit for 35 minutes. It's the community that surrounds us as well. I don't remember the timing of when Pastor Diego did this, but he had preached a sermon about like staying planted, and he had this big plant and he had put it along the stage. This wasn't a part of his illustration, but I was shadowing him that Sunday, and I looked at the stage after. Everywhere that he took it, there was a mess on everything. And I committed to myself, look, that won't be me. Because every time you go somewhere else, you leave a mess behind. And sometimes people don't consider that cost as well. Yeah. So that wasn't a part of his sermon illustration, but like when I saw the stage had so much mess on it, I made that's not gonna be me.
Yeah.
But it takes a humility to broaden our zoom on like, what does being fed mean for a disciple?
And whose responsibility is it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
There was a guy one time, and I just thought it was interesting what the Lord even taught me in it. But there was a guy one time who worked at the church, and then they, you know, when they left, they didn't do it I want to say they were disrespectful, but it just wasn't done really the right way with time and all this stuff like that. And so they just thought like, I'm just gonna, you know, when I disconnect myself from here, I'm gonna soar. You know, we all feel that, right? Like if I leave this place or if I leave this marriage or I leave, like you just you've convinced yourself. If I dip, now I can spread my wings. Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna soar. And so he unfortunately thought that. And so he left and he could not land a job. When he left, it was just kind of like pieces. We had no conversations, and I wasn't even a person in charge at the time, so he wouldn't even talk to me or anything like that. And so he just dipped, and he couldn't get a job. Nobody would hire him. Nobody. For a year and a half, he just struggling, driving for Uber, all these things like that, and he's just trying to do whatever he can to make ends meet for his family. About a year and a half in, he calls me. I was like, oh, man. I've been talking to this dude for like over a year. Like, let me answer. And so I answer. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, this might be out of left field, but my life has not been good since I left the church. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready. Like, he gonna ask for his job back. Like, it's gonna be awkward, and you know. And he's just like, man, since I left, haven't been good. I can't land anything. And he says, I was praying today. I had devotional time. And the Lord told me, I will not let you move forward until you make amends with the place that you left. And you ask for forgiveness. Wow. And so he's like, I'm just here to say I'm sorry and ask, would you forgive me? And I was like, oh my, bro, yeah, absolutely. You know, we love you. We hope the best for you. We're good. And he's like, no, I have to do this before I can even, I feel like God has shut the doors until I clean up my mess, to your point. Like I left something behind, which I left ministry behind, friendships behind, all these things like that and relatively for a lot of people, he didn't even say bye. He just like, all right, peace. And so he said that, and then I was like, man, I love you. I forgive you, blah, 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 blah. 1 week later, he lands a ministry job opportunity in the world. And not only that week, that week, because of course he wouldn't put me on his reference, but it just so happened the other church knew who I was. So they got a hold of me and was just like, what would you say about this person? I'm like, this is a person in integrity, this person in character, because
Look at the timing.
I could say that.
Absolutely.
And he didn't plan it. He wasn't like, and I'm trying to interview for a job, they may call you, because he would never want them to call me. You know, like from how he left, it wouldn't have been good stuff. So the fact that they were like, found me on Instagram, was like, we have a few questions about this person. And I'm like, man, actually, we're great. We're good. I bless him.
Beautiful.
Like, dude lands, you know, a job of a lifetime at the time that he needed for his family. And to me, like, that just showed an expression of like, maybe we do leave messes, but how important it is to reflect and be like, well, where do I got to clean up?
Let me go clean it up.
What do I got to wipe down? Who have I talked about that I actually need to go back and be like, hey man, I'm sorry on the way out. I really threw your name in the mud. I'm sorry, you know, because people know, it gets around. People hear that stuff. So it's just good to, whether you're leaving a job, leave well, talk highly of people. And if you don't have anything highly about, find those closest friends that you can share your actual weight with, that you can dump on, that you're not going to be burning bridges where it's going to ultimately, you know, affect you in the long run, right?
Yeah.
I think we just went full circle with that video on why stuff like that happens. Yeah. The lack of real relationships. Because for the last whatever minutes, we've been talking about real relationships, commitment, loyalty, forgiveness. That happens in the real world. So when you don't have that and you're kind of by yourself, you can come up with theories. Your goal is to go viral, because if I really want to go viral, and that like is my identity, is maybe because I haven't found it in true relationships. Yeah. So I find it in this social media world. But what we're talking about is the real world. These theories and everybody jumping in on it, or we heard this and then everybody gives an opinion on it, then we move on to the next thing. That's not real relationships. Yep. That's just grabbing our attention for the moment. And then what is shoe theory going to be in 5 years from now?
That's a great question.
But what will this relationship, what fruit can come from this relationship in 5 years with you guys' kids?
Yeah.
You should,
Well, per this conversation, as we kind of segue to the new year, what is some stuff that you guys are like, I'm leaving this behind in 2023, or I'm cleaning this up in 2023 so that I can enter 2024 different or new? What are some things that you guys have been thinking about, processing, that you want to leave behind?
I'll start. 2023, my word was clean.
He does yearly words.
So do I. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Whoa! All right. I think all you girls should pick one. Pick a word. I want to hear everybody's word. I want Aaron to go first.
What was
I want
yours,
Happy
Nancy?
to go first.
What was yours?
What was your
for this year?
2022?
2023.
Last year?
Yeah, or
year.
like, well, I'm 2023.
Oh.
Yeah,
Freedom.
I got confused.
Freedom. And
Freedom.
it has aligned so much.
Hallelujah.
I can't stand it.
Yeah.
All 2022, my word was discipline. 2023 was clean, because I had all these disciplines in place, but that doesn't mean that my heart's in the right place just because I'm doing these things. So that was the goal. Have a clean heart. I was striving so much to have a clean heart in 2023. I was slowful to make decisions. So my word for 2024 is go. I have a clean heart. Go. Just go. Walk, run in the favor of God. Go. You have a clean heart.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's doing that with his own podcast, partly. He's doing his little daily drizzle. Yeah, stay dripping, my friends.
Yeah, so
we're co-collabing on a shirt like that. So 50-50 profit.
So Pastor Adam helped me with that, because I'm like, here's what I'm thinking about. We could do this and that. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, just start it, you know. So he's been help in just saying, just start
He
it.
lives
So
his life like that. You just go.
just go.
Do it.
And that's my why.
People will tell you right away if they don't like it, because they won't engage with it. And then that time you go, okay.
Yeah.
On to the next.
What would you have been doing anyway? Watching TV at night? Like on Instagram? Like just do something profitable at night, and you want to build a business, go build it. And before you put money into it, but if you got to put 5,000 or 10,000, do it. Save, do it. And if you lose it, okay.
Yep.
All right, we can get back up.
Yep.
There's something else.
And that's what's dope about community, because that's how my wife is too. My wife's like wiring is ready, fire, aim. And she's like, if I miss, I'll just keep shooting. So then
so I run out of bullets.
So for me, I'm just like, ready, aim.
Aim. Yeah.
Aim. So
Take a breath.
I'm not doing that this year.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm a shoot.
I
I'm a
love
shooter, so I'm gonna just keep shooting.
Stay strapped.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I
So-
love that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, your podcast is on YouTube?
Podcast is on YouTube. The first episode dropped on January 1st, which is a Monday. It drops every Monday at 6 a.m.
Monday
Daily
at 6 a.m.
Drip.
Daily
Nice.
Drip. Are
Yes.
you calling it on YouTube Daily Drip Podcast? Or just
Daily Drip Podcast.
Daily Drip Podcast.
Yes.
Stay drippy, my friends.
That should be your end tag for your.
It is.
my intake when I'm
It's
on these
every
episodes.
It's on every episode. Stay dripping, my friends.
Oh, you put it on every
No,
episode?
It's been
No,
on every.
it's been on
yeah.
at the end of his Instagram
Oh,
videos. He'll
shoot.
always end it with "Say dripping, my friends."
Oh,
But
shoot.
For your episode, you should end it and say it because you say it.
I
very,
did.
He did.
I
Yeah.
did. I was on
Particularly.
one of his. Stay
Yeah,
drippy,
he's
my
gonna
friends.
be on January 29th.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
nice! I love that. That's
Yes,
dope.
sir.
Yes.
That's dope.
Okay, go. Ready, set, go.
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 Ready, set, go.
What about you, H?
That's a good question. I think for me, 2024 will be intentionality. Yeah, I think
Be intentional with the
being
mic, please.
Intentional.
Talking the mic.
Being intentional.
He's
so-
a podcaster. He knows this now. He's got that figured out. You can move it too. You
I
lift
can
it
move
up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just being more intentional with family, marriage, finances. So I think going into the new year, goal is to date my wife more.
Love it.
Go on vacations more. Be intentional when I'm at home with my kids. Get off the phone.
Yep.
Be present, and then also be intentional with relationship with the youth ministry with kids. Be more interactive and stuff like that. So I think going into the New Year's is more intentionality.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a word for the year. You don't
No,
have
I
words.
don't do anything like that.
What do you do?
Anything that
I'm
makes
curious.
anything that makes
That-
Pastor Adam feel like it's a box.
Get
Get
out.
out.
Yeah, get that box
So
out
what
of
do
here.
you
I
do?
don't-
How do you
Get out of
enter?
here.
I don't
How
do
do you
all
Because
that.
enter
I may
yours?
figure that out in 30 days. If I figure it out in 30 days,
Then you're like,
I gotta go to the next thing. But if I box myself, then I'll be like, oh, I figured it out. I'm done. I'm chilling the rest of the year. So I got,
He has words of the day.
Word of the-
Exactly. I got
Word of the
1 day
hour.
words. I got 30-day words, 90-day words. They're all just, Yeah, I don't do any of those type of things. I got projects.
Is
I'm
there
working
anything
on.
you do going into the new year?
Well, here's what I would say that I could just go be like, okay, what are my plans for next year, and then I can reverse engineer like that, and I could probably give you a word from that point. So one of the things, though this year 2024 is a big year for me personally as a leader, but within that, I've been doing a transition with my dad intentionally. It's been me personally for 6 years, but it's been an intentional transition for 7 years, with just me and Nathan. And then after about a year of that, so it started in 2017. So relatively speaking, since 2017 to end of 2023, I have been in an intensive senior leadership training school. So basically, I got my doctorate in senior leadership, right? So if you look at 7 years, which is that's like a medical doctorate, right? I have been like jam-sacked. I had to learn finance, budget, projects, contractors, $1 million budgets, $100,000 budgets, approvals, departments. Not only that, I had to double down on counseling people, marriage counseling,
Speaking
personal
more.
counseling. Now I'm preaching. Become a better preacher. Get better at that. You're not good at that. Do better at that. Okay, get better at more of preaching on the gifts, right? Which was my least comfort level. I could preach the scriptures all day. So here I am. I'm moving forward. I'm trying more of the stuff prophetic, making sure, doing everything I need to do to be in a senior leadership position. Everything that now the guy teaching me, my dad, learning him, and then it's like, okay, now like continue to make the church, refine and grow. So now it's like be a visionary, be a leader, right? While you have one infant son, one toddler son, you got a wife, all that stuff like that. So for the past 6-7 years, I've just been absolutely I've given 100% to the church, 100% of ministry. I have the most amazing wife in the world that when we dated, she knew that was the future, and I laughed at her. She's like, "You're going to be a senior pastor one day." I'm scared because I don't think I'm senior pastor wife worthy. And I'd be like, I'm not even going to be a senior pastor, so why you even thinking about that? That's stupid. I'll never be. I'm like Karen, really mentally, I'm driven, but I'm not aspirational. Those are two different things. Some people are aspirational. They look at a platform, or they look at like a guy in their company, they're like, one day I'm going to get to that. Like I'm not aspirational. I'm just, whatever project I have, like I'm a drive, and I'm just like, I'm not going to ask for anything. I want to make everything better. So with that drive, like and my wife's been so for it, sacrificing. So I say all that to say, going into this year, like towards the middle of the year, I'm going to do like a little sabbatical. I'm going to do a couple months off.
Beautiful.
Try and make up some time that me and my wife both have invested to get to where we needed to be in a leadership level and a leader level. And so for some people, it's going to kind of be counterintuitive. It's like, oh, this guy's in charge now, and now he leaves. But what they maybe don't see is
It's
how
setting
much
you
was
up.
done.
Yeah, and it's setting you up well for the next 15, 20 years.
Yeah, and it's like I want to come back, refreshed rather
Yeah.
than double down on the work and then be like, well, but I've been grinding for 7 years.
Yeah.
Now I got to double grind, and then if my kids and my wife are like, so this is our life now, it's like, oh yeah, this is our life now. So so if it is, it would be rest well, because when I do that next year, I have my normal vacations, but this kind of couple months is going to be a true recalibrate, re-spend that time with the Lord. I've been in full-time ministry now for 13 years. Next year will be 14 years. And I'm the type of person, you could ask anyone that works closely with me, like, I'm not a 40-hour work week guy. You could pay me hourly and I work 60, 70, 80, be
Yep.
up 3 a.m.
Yep.
making
Yeah.
graphics. There's no sleep. So for what an average person is putting in 40, I'll be 70, 80. So for 14 years, I've put in when I've earned a month of vacation, maybe I'm taking 2 weeks off of vacation. Some years I wouldn't take no vacation. I'll just take a couple weekends off and then that's it. So I just been grinding because I wanted to support my dad for so many years, and then it became, well, now I got to support what I'm trying to do. So when I go into next year, my schedule's gonna stay the same. Like I take Mondays off pretty much. That's it. But in terms of going into that 2 months, I'm gonna invest in the kids, do it during their summer break. I'm gonna take them out. We're gonna go to the beach. We're gonna live very normal lives, because
Yeah.
right now their life is not very normal. So we're just gonna, for 2 months before we take this big journey, we're gonna just kind of chill, go
I love that.
go down to Mexico, you know, go to the beach, go to the motherland. You know what I'm saying? eat the motherland food, have some ceviche. We'll drive up. We'll do whatever. We'll drive up to Santa Barbara. We'll do whatever. Like, if you think about it, I only get Monday off. My kids are in school, so if my son is off Saturday and Sunday, I work every single week. So for those
think
9
during
months,
this
that's
time,
what my kids know.
You've been while you've been with Pastor Diego and doing these leadership intensives and so forth, you've also been preparing your team to lead well. So this is an extension of trust for you as the leader, to extend trust to your leaders and model what resting well looks like for the next journey. So
Yeah.
I think that's dope.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Rest well.
Chelsea, you give your word?
Yeah.
My word is similar actually to yours this year. I think
My 2023 word?
year 2023 word. I think my word, I haven't fully processed it yet, but is free, to live free. And it's not like to go wild out or do anything crazy, but to let go of how I think my life should look like, to let go of the control over my own life and just let God do whatever he wants to do. So in order to do that, I just kind of have to open my hands. And so free. God, do whatever you want to do with me in this next year. Take me wherever you want to take me. Use me however you want to use me. But in order to do that, I got to let go of control and even mindsets that I've created in my head of how life should look, and let God just do his thing. So free.
That's Eileen's word.
Free. Really?
year.
That's why we're
2024.
friends, dude. That's my girl.
I'm gonna change mine. Mine's not rest well. Mine's free.
Turn up. Turn up.
Turn up.
Yeah.
Level up.
Turn down for what?
30 minutes later, my word is ceviche.
Yeah. I just text my mother-in-law because they everybody talking like, oh, we out for Christmas break, blah 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 blah. And it's my mother-in-law's birthday today, and so I put in the text message, and everyone's trying to figure out, we're trying to celebrate her birthday tonight. So everyone's like, oh, what time? And I was like, well, guys, today's a great day. I'm off for Christmas break from 5 p.m. to midnight. So we come, whatever you need, you got me. And then they're all talking about like, I get a week off, 2 weeks off. I'm like, for us, holiday season, like, good
Grind time.
luck, bro.
Grind
That's
Grind
funny.
So mine was Christmas break, like, right now till midnight, it's Christmas break. Once 5 o'clock hits, that's gonna be my word for the
Yep.
for the
break.
year.
Wait,
6
Gabe,
hours.
does
Right.
Gabe have one?
What's your word,
have
Gabe?
A word? I'm curious.
Gabe's like me. Gabe don't do that stuff.
For the next 2 weeks, my word is
yeah, exactly.
probably just general. I guess it can kind of fit in a word. Sharpen. Maybe
Ooh.
just stay
The,
sharp. out there.
the theology guy.
That's that master's coming out. That's
G.A. Spurgeon
master's.
sharpened the
Little,
tool.
little on the nose.
Giving Spurgeon.
Why does this word sound like a sermon intro?
It does.
Today, I'd like to talk to you guys about sharpen. Sharpen your sword.
Verlon, what's your word?
To the Shark Tank.
You don't do that stuff? Yeah.
Bro, these are my little Padawans right here. It's whatever
I'm gonna
we all
write-
decide
yeah,
for the
write
next
that
30
right
days.
down.
Bro,
What's your word right now?
No, Jermaine.
we're doing 30-year anniversary work right now. So it's grind time. His word's grind.
My word is 3-0.
3-0.
30. We celebrate 30 years.
I walk into work, I see Jermaine, and he's like, give me some readily available thoughts about Gabe. I said, what does that mean?
Yeah.
No, whatever's readily available. Just give me some readily available thoughts about Gabe. I don't remember what I even said, but like, that's what I know about Jermaine. He's just in the moment.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
right there. Like,
Yeah.
so.
What did it correlate to?
I was just trying to talk trash.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Wait, Alizé, do you have a word? 2024?
Looking like a 12-year-old.
She looked like she from Recess. Or like Spumoni or whatever.
My
her
word
name
is
on
legal.
Recess.
I'll be 21.
Finally.
So by anyone.
Hey, but
That's her
21,
word.
21 is not good for her.
Why
Because
not?
I told her when she becomes an adult at 21, she's open to jokes from me. So
Oh,
because she's a minor, I've held off
You gotta
from clowning on
you gotta
her.
I've
put
got
her on the
8 days.
podcast.
Yeah.
I got
more
8
days.
days. 8 days.
I mean, the recess joke, that was light. That was light humor.
It was
Like
light
the
work?
real fire I have for her,
Yeah.
I like that everyone else has experienced at some point.
Adam.
I've guarded Alizé.
Oh, Lord.
She does look like she's from Recess.
I know.
Thanks.
We should do a side by
I
side.
appreciate
Go ahead.
it. My word, I would say, I guess, is harvest. This whole year, spiritually, has
she was
been
waiting
like-
for this moment.
Beth Moore, who?
This whole year has been kind of preparation spiritually. My relationship with God, in many ways, I've been growing a lot. So I just feel like all that work, you sow, you're gonna reap something. So I'm just in expectation of what God's gonna do in 2024.
Very impressive. Are you gonna be doing that 21-day favor fast?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Daniel fast.
Oh, that's the type of fast you're gonna do. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Daniel's nice. That Daniel one is nice.
Oh my gosh.
Harvest.
Well, that's what we want to know in the comments. Then, if you can comment or slide up in the DMs, maybe we'll do a post. We'll be like, since Pastor Aaron does a word for the year, what's your word?
well, our church
the
does
year.
a word.
Yeah, our church has a word for
we
the
do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. That was kind of newer. That's newer. We started
Deeper,
that in,
higher, favor.
Deeper was the first year we had a word?
You sound like Kanye with
No,
that.
we've had a theme. We've had a theme since
Right?
12.
Since the city is my church.
2012.
2012. So that was my first year in full-time ministry. I think I've come up with every theme for the year,
the
even
year.
since I was started in ministry for our church. I'd pitch him to pastor. I'd be like, hey, what about this? I'd obviously hear like what's in his heart, and now I gotta decide like what's in my heart, knowing the church and the environment of the
Yeah.
church, But
what
I'd
do
be
you
like
want?
talking to pastor and like, because really for the like senior pastor, it's not that some churches take it as like, oh, they hear from God, but really the senior pastor knows what's going on in counseling, in children's ministry, in youth ministry. Like they know what they're getting. They're getting feedback. Like where Heron's like going to be all youth ministry, I'm hearing feedback from Heron, like, well, what's going on with the kids? Then I'm hearing what's going on in our city with our generosity center. And in that way, I'm able to take all that to the Lord and then be like, okay, Lord, well, what would you want? What's something all of our collective ministries can get their teeth around? And so that's why it would always be like me going to pastor, be like, what's in your heart? Not really like as you hear from God as this prophet. It's more so like as the leader who everyone is communicating with, what are you hearing God do? And so they're like the first year we did The City Is My Church, it was for him, it was like our church needs to soul win. Like we need to be about evangelism. There's things like we need to always be doing that stuff, but like he's saying this year we need to emphasize that, really preach about that and equip our people and all these things. And I think that year or the year after is when we did like an apologetics conference. So that was part of that equipping, share your faith with friends of different religions. So that first year was City is My Church. That's when we brought in a graffiti artist, and we
I remember
graffitied
that.
all the walls next to
I remember
the
that.
next to the projector, and all big City is My Church and stuff like that. And so that was when we started. It was like, okay, annually we're gonna have like a thought of the year. And
And
then
that's when you started the merch too, right?
we
Heck
started merch that year.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
first
I remember
shirt
the
I
t-shirt,
ever
yeah.
bought from ALFC.
The City is My Church with the
Yeah.
neon and the little
Yeah.
city and all that kind of stuff like
Yep.
that. Yeah, that was cool.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I would only do an annual merch drop for that, and then obviously I was a youth pastor, so then I put all my efforts into like youth merch, and then we made like "Don't Kill My Vibe" and all those cool.
I still
super
have
cool
that
things. Do you really?
black one.
That's
Yeah.
super vintage.
Yeah.
And then we made a lot of dope youth merch back then, and then when I came into the, like creative pastor in like 2016 or whatever, 15, we started doing like more church merch, and then that kind of popped off.
2015
But
was
from-
gold.
merch.
Yeah. The Fresh Start merch was heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2015 was the year of gold. Give Out
Giving
Love Daily, which was inspired by Jeff Osborne. And then 2013, 14, those would have been, one of them would have been like some type of anniversary in there, like a 20-year. One of those would have been, the 2013 would have been like an anniversary year one. And then, yeah, I'd have to think through.
2017 was Embrace Tomorrow.
Yes. That was the generational transition stuff. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of stuff. So it's just good to put vision to stuff. So whether it's a word, a statement, a phrase, an idea, like just for a personal life to be like, I'm going to put this vision and kind of correlate some thoughts around it. You know, it's really cool.
2024, baby.
Yeah, 2024, big year. Be a great year for our church. We got some secrets up our sleeve.
Yes, we do.
So
Yes, we
some
do.
people know about it, some people don't. So we got a lot of church secrets. We got a lot of church stuff. We got
In a very
we got
good way.
we got podcast secrets.
In a very good way.
Yeah. We got podcast secrets. So all good stuff that's gonna like hopefully bring a lot of forward momentum. So all right, everybody, share with us what your word is for the year. We look forward to seeing it, hearing about it. And anyone got any closing thoughts?
We'll see you next year.
No,
Yes. Well, so-
Oh,
We're seeing them next year.
yeah. This is
Well, because
dropping on
this
New
airs the
Year's
30th.
Eve, right?
Yeah, but like only a handful of people watch it New Year's Eve. They all watch it during their work week.
Yeah.
Like,
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Countdown
2024.
10,
Yeah.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
And if you guys didn't know it, that was Heron's excited face. Peace.